One second, gentlemen, just one second. Manish Tewari, you're a lawyer, you're now a politician. He's been a diplomat, he's a politician. I won't say that you've given up, you've been a traitor to the legal profession or he to be diplomat.
I'm not saying that he's a traitor. All I'm saying is that he was very ably representing the Union of India, the government of India, the policies of the United Progressive Alliance for 10 years. Now after retirement, he's decided to take another position.
One minute. Gentlemen, no, one second. We must give the gentleman under attack an opportunity.
No, I'm under...
The gentleman under attack today.
I am under no attack. I started my life as a lecturer in a Delhi University college. I joined the private sector. I served the Foreign Service for 39, not 38 years. And I enjoyed every minute of it. And after retirement, I chose to join the political space, and I joined that party which is strongly anchored in nationalism and which is very good on national security.
I give you your 2 minutes.
I could not
Your 2 minutes. You know, you've also mastered one of the great things of being a politician. You take away more time than you are required. Hardeep Singh Puri, your 2 minutes. No, he hasn't had his opening remarks.
I haven't had my opening remarks, whereas you've had your conclusion also.
Opening remarks from Hardeep Puri on the subject. Starting now, UPA, after 10 years of UPA, India needs an overhaul of its foreign policy. Hardeep Puri, your 2 minutes start
now. Thank you very much for focusing on issues related to national security and foreign policy in the run-up to the elections. Mr. Manish Tewari said that 10 years have helped in strengthening national interest and consolidation of strategic autonomy. This is like motherhood and apple pie. It can mean anything and everything to everyone. He says that we are obsessed by China and we also have a phobia. Let me just focus on two of the major requirements in terms of foreign policy and how the UPA 1 and 2 dealt with them. In the year 2008, our embassy in Kabul was attacked. Several hundred people were killed. No response from our side. Then, thereafter, we went ahead. Instead of focusing on the place where all the vipers which produce terrorism are focused, we went and agreed that they were also victims of terrorism by equating the two. Then in Sharm el-Sheikh, we committed a self-goal on Baluchistan. And throughout, one after the other, we were attacked. Mumbai, and we took the position, no talks unless the perpetrators of the attacks are brought to justice. But again, very soon thereafter, the Prime Minister's desire to visit Pakistan takes over. Then the talks begin, only to end up with some further terrorist attacks. On China, it's not a phobia or an obsession. China is a reality. China is today one of the biggest foreign policy challenges we've got. We've had 16 rounds of border discussions with them. We are nowhere closer to a resolution of the border issue. To say that the border is not demarcated and therefore the Chinese come in but they go back. They stayed for a full 3 weeks in the Ladakh area. But more than that, isn't the Chinese reaction in a sense due to the fact that we are beginning to modernize the infrastructure on our side of the border? And have we had a serious discussion with China on how we propose to proceed ahead? And I just want to conclude by saying one thing, that at the end of the day, you need a more robust foreign policy of the kind that you had in the 5 years of the BJP. You need a more focused attention on national security. And more than that, stop this confusion and hesitation, because it ends up not with strategic hesitation, but with strategic confusion.
Well, thank you, Hardeep Puri. Your first question. First counter, two counters. First counter from Manish Tewari.
You know, Mr. Hardeep Puri, very rightly, since he's recently joined the Bharatiya Janata Party, said that the party is rooted in nationalism. I want to ask him, is it nationalist on the part of the NDA government to escort terrorists to Kandahar and release terrorists who had murdered innocent citizens of our country? Let me then ask you, is it nationalist that after the parliament attack of 2001, you launch Operation Parakaram, you mobilize the entire Indian army, you have it on the border for 8 months, and then you withdraw like a mouse, blunting the instrument of coercive diplomacy that we have? And number three, all the follies of Indian foreign policy that you pointed out, may I very respectfully submit, Mr. Hardeep Puri, you were a senior policy member of the establishment who was equally responsible in formulating all those policies which now you are trying to condemn as fiascos. And on Balochistan also, since Mr. Varma, you had raised that point, is it not a fact that the Pakistani state is committing atrocities in Balochistan? So therefore, if Balochistan would have come on the discussion table, all that what is happening in Balochistan, including the killing of Bukti, including the killing of thousands of innocents by Pakistani security forces, that would have been aired in the light of the day. That would have been to India's advantage rather than to India's disadvantage. Well, so therefore, I think a very paranoid view of, or a very insecure view of your own
one second. That's a long question.
I think
that's a long question, but he's raised 3 points. Yes. He raises Kandahar, right? Then he raises your U-turn Operation Parakram. You will not disagree.
Yeah.
He raises the question of Balochistan.
Yes.
He also attacks you personally, saying you were on the other side till a few months back. Mr. Hardeep Puri, as a man of conviction, show your conviction tonight. Do you want to concede to the minister?
I will not.
Do you want to concede to the minister?
I will take him up on each of those points.
Only because of your political ambition. Only because of your political ambition.
Arnab,
you are now changing the position.
Let him count to the minister. Let me start.
Arnab,
one second. We'll take more count. 1 second. I'll come to you and I'll come to you. One interjection at a time.
1 point.
So one at a time.
Before he responds, let me tell Mr. Manish Tewari that terrorists were grateful to them. They had one of the best biryanis in the world when they were taken to the
Very good.
Hardeep Puri. No. Your question after that. I'll come to your question. Hardeep Puri, respond please.
In the 10 years of the UPA 1 and 2, which start in 2004 and end up in 2014 soon, I was India's ambassador and permanent representative to the UN in Geneva. I was ambassador to Brazil. I was secretary economic relations, and then ambassador and PR to the UN in New York. In none of these assignments was I called upon to formulate policy or to provide inputs for foreign policy formulation on either or China or Pakistan. So please, Mr. Manish Tewari,
I'm quite surprised India's permanent representative of the United Nations is now feigning ignorance that he was not involved in questions of there cannot be something more hypocritical.
Mr. Tewari, one second. Mr. Tewari, since Mr. Tewari, are you using this point only for the purposes of debate to put your esteemed colleague on the other side of the back? What is the substantial point you make?
All I'm saying is that Mr. Puri, since he's recently joined the Bharatiya Janata Party, possibly is not acquainted with the many U-turns which the BJP has done on important questions of national security. So therefore,
he's well acquainted.
Well acquainted, and therefore I want to come and answer you.
Well, your concern is dripping in sarcasm. You may respond.
Mr. Tewari knows less about foreign policy, machinery and functioning than he knows about foreign policy. Let me explain how. The permanent representative of India to the UN deals with India's representation, and if I provided advice on China and Pakistan, I still respect the Official Secrets Act, and I'm not going to tell you how I advise upon, and I don't want to embarrass you in public.
Now let's go to the substantive points of Kandahar, Parakram and Balochistan.
On Balochistan,
short points on each.
On Balochistan, the short point is, if you wanted to embarrass Pakistan, you should have raised atrocities being committed by Pakistan in Balochistan in the Human Rights Commission in Geneva, or in Council, or in the Third Committee in New York. But when you bring Balochistan into a bilateral agreement in Sharm el-Sheikh or a bilateral statement, then as Pavan says, you are opening the door on culpability yourself. So Mr. Tewari, you've got this one completely wrong.
What stopped you, Mr. Puri, from raising it in the Third Committee of the United Nations?
No,
you were India's permanent representative in the United Nations. What stopped you from raising it in the Third Committee? If you think Pakistan has committed atrocities in Balochistan, you should have advised the government of India.
Your Prime Minister was busy in getting India's involvement acknowledged in a bilateral statement.
You used to take stances at times autonomously.
Questions on Kandahar and Parakram remain. Answer to each of those.
Look, insofar as raising the military ante is concerned, insofar as increasing the pressure, for a long time after that, you were spared of the kind of action which came after the UPA government came in. You lifted quota and you took a much more open and accommodative stand on terrorism.
Mr. Hardeep Puri, when did Kalchuk happen? Kalchuk happened while Parakaram was on. So therefore,
No,
if
hold
your
on, hold
coercive
on. Look,
diplomacy
I'm
was
basing
working, then Kalchuk would
Why
not have
were you-
happened. So
why were-
therefore, please do not try to justify something which is
I'm
indefensible.
neither trying to justify it, I'm just trying to remind you of
what
the facts.
the NDA government did was something which is unpardonable. That your one instrument of coercive diplomacy, your entire armed establishment, you reduced
The
it
question
to a
is this,
sorry
no,
spectacle.
no, Mr. Puri, now the
Yeah.
third point, I'll come to that. I remind you, Mr. Puri, remember the facts. In the BJP government, Vajpayee said, "Aar paar ki ladai." Aar paar ki ladai was said by Vajpayee, and then later he said to search for peace is no crime. By the end of 2003, there was a change of position.
There was a
anyway,
change of
you
position.
are
वो
avoiding.
sense-
You
वो
are.
तो
you
आर नहीं
are-
हुए।
Are you?
वो तो आर नहीं हुए, पर बीजेपी पार हो गई।
नहीं, नहीं.
Are you avoiding the question on Kandahar, sir?
I'm
You're
not at all.
responding yet.
I thought he would come up with something more innovative, something new.
Well,
there was. I thought he was coming up with something new.
I need to come out with something more innovative, some more terrorists that you may have released,
that we have-
which you may know under
No,
the
no.
Official Secrets Act, which I'm not aware of.
Hold
Well,
on, hold on.
well, you not answered him on
Let's
Kandahar.
be very clear. Kandahar is something that we want to put behind us, number one. Number two, whatever may
Why
have
do you
been
want
the
to put it behind
assessment.
you? Is it an embarrassing thing for
Well,
you?
I didn't say that. At that point of time, there were some persons who needed to be escorted. Somebody took the decision. But come on, how long are you going to be
Somebody took the decision.
Yeah.
Prime
BJP
Minister
government
Yeah,
Mr.
the
Atal
decision.
Bihari
Watch
Vajpayee
it.
took the decision.
Watch it. He's
No,
counting.
no, no.
Watch it.
BJP government took the decision of
They did.
releasing them. Dr. Farooq Abdullah was in chair. He resisted. He said, please take your time.
Oh, the
Take
question,
it-
the question, the
take
question,
your
the
time.
question,
Don't
the
do
question,
that. He
the
had
question-
warned them.
The question
in
put.
spite of the fact that he warned them, he was in chair. BJP went ahead and did, and we are paying for that.
The
We are not
question
paying
put-
because of that.
We
We are
are
paying because
paying
of the
for
fact
that.
that later on you are
The-
continuing to
the-
show accommodation to.
Sir,
Mr.
that's-
Beig, may I just supplement that Kandahar came after the famous bus ride to Lahore, which was followed by Kargil.
I'm
So
also
therefore, it was a folly after
yeah,
folly.
also, yeah.
And then Agra happened,
Yeah.
where Mr. Musharraf was invited, notwithstanding Kargil, to come and walk all over the Indian establishment. So that is their record of foreign policy.
First time hardcore terrorists were released, and we are still paying for that.
I don't understand where having biryani in Agra
Where
would have
biryani?
actually
What
helped
biryani?
fighting terrorism.
No, biryani, Mr. Salman Khurshid had biryani with the visiting foreign minister in Ajmer. That is what I remember. I don't remember what was served in Agra.
Well,
I
I'll
was
tell
in
you what
London
was
then.
served in Agra. I'll tell you what was served in Agra.
Yeah.
You allowed General Pervez Musharraf to walk all over the Indian
Oh, yeah.
establishment.
Yeah,
That is
yes,
what was
yes,
served
yes,
in Agra.
yes.